Hello, this is Paul, and this tutorial is about how to voice jazz chords for the piano. We will learn how to use a chord and an accompanying mode to make the proper piano voicing. We won't worry about voice leading or putting different chords together for now. There are a few types of chords that will be dealt with. These are major seventh, dominant seventh, and minor seventh. There is also a minor 7 flat 5 and a diminished chord, but we will work on those in later tutorials. Major 7. The major 7 chord's accompanying mode is Ionian. If you remember from a previous tutorial, the Ionian mode is the major scale. There are a couple of these rules that we will look at. Keep in mind, these rules were meant to be broken, but for now it's good to learn and practice them, then change them down the road. The two most important notes besides the root is the third and the seventh. One of the rules is the bottom note has to be either the third or seventh. Shells. If we play a C major 7, those notes are C in the left hand, then E and B in the right hand. The E is the major third and the B is the major seventh. These two notes played together with the root is called the shell. We can invert those notes and play the B on the bottom and the E on top. If the chord is an A flat major 7, then we will look at the A flat major scale or A flat Ionian. The major third is the C and the major seventh is G. The inversion of this chord is G on the bottom and C on top. Dominant 7. The next chord is a dominant 7th, and this is how a C dominant 7th is written. We will use the Mixolydian mode for this chord, which only has one note different, the 7th, than the Ionian mode. The major third is the E, and the flat 7 is the B flat. This is a C7 chord and its inversion. Minor 7. The next chord is a minor 7. This is how it is written. The accompanying minor mode we will choose is Dorian. Dorian has a flat 3 and flat 7, so if we have a C Dorian chord, those notes will be E flat and B flat. If you invert that, then the C minor 7th chord will be B flat and E flat. Part 2. Adding more notes to the shells. When we voice a major chord, such as a major 7th or dominant 7th, our full chord will have a 3rd, 7th, 9th, and 13th. I will explain the order. We will go back to the major 7th chord. Let's choose a different key, and that will be A. The A major 7th shell consists of C sharp and G sharp. If C sharp is on the bottom, then the next note up is the 13th, which is the F sharp. From here, we have the major 7th of G sharp, and then the 9th, which is B. This is how to voice an A major 7. We can also invert it, which will have the G sharp on the bottom. From here, we will use the 9th, which is the B, the 3rd, which is C sharp, and the 13th, which is F sharp. This is another voicing for the major 7th. We will use the same formula for dominant 7th chords. The only difference between the major seventh and dominant seventh chord and mode is the seventh. We will use A7 as our example. The shell of A7 is C sharp and G. The two dominant voicings are C sharp, which is the third on the bottom, F sharp is the 13, G is the flat 7, and B is the major 9. The inversion is the 7th on the bottom, which is G, B is next, which is the 9th, C sharp is the 3rd, and F sharp is the 13th. There is a formula for these chords, and if you memorize these intervals, you just plug them into the mode. The formula is 3, 13, 7, and 9. Its inversion is 7, 9, 3, and 13. Our last chord is the minor 7th. We will not be using the 13th, but the 5th for this voicing. Let's use F minor 7th as our example. Our accompanying mode is F Dorian. The formula for minor scales is flat 3, 5, flat 7, and 9. When we invert it, the flat 7th is on the bottom, and then the 9th, flat 3, and 5 follow. F minor 7 will use an A flat, the flat 3rd, C, the 5th, E flat, the flat 7, and G, the 9th. The inversion is E flat, flat 7, G, 9, A flat, flat 3rd, and C, the 5th. I have an accompanying workbook which will help you practice these voicings. It is important that you know the major scales before you begin because these modes are simply a manipulation of these scales. I also suggest you practice these chords randomly. I don't like patterns because they tend to rely on muscle memory, and you have to memorize each chord and mode as its own. Go to palmei.com for a workbook which will have this tutorial along with exercises which will drill all these chords.